Hello. Hello, everyone. There we go. Hi. Hi, Sarah. Hi, Yolanda. Hey,
Hey,
how are you?
I am figuring this out. How are you?
You are great, and you figured it out. You are with us right now. Hey, Claire. Hope you're
I
feeling
am.
better. So, what I'm doing right now is pretty much just saying hello to our guests who are joining
Yes.
us. Hi, Elena. How's it going? Thanks for joining. How's everything going with you? Hi, Nadia.
Hi, I'm hoping they're all feeling as empowered as I'm feeling right now. I fight the urge to learn new technology because I always think I'll mess it up, and then when I don't, I just sort of feel like a bit of a superhero.
Oh,
So I'm
great.
hoping others are having a superhero day.
Hi, Tawanda. Hi, Marissa. Glad you guys joined. So, this conversation, and I'm really excited about this conversation
Me too.
because it's around diversity, inclusion, and equity, and really, truly how important it is right now in the workplace. Now that we've moved to remote working, which is critical. So I'm glad we connected. So give you guys a little bit of background information. Hi, Matthew. Matthew's on. I'm so excited. How are you? Um, so give you guys a little bit of background information about Kryss. She's phenomenal. We are actually we're both speaking at the Philadelphia Diversity and Inclusion Conference that's going to be coming up. It was supposed to take place in March, but of course, after everything that happened, it's been moved to October. So we are hopefully that's going to be in person, but if not, we've connected, we've shared some stories together, and I'm really just impressed with the work that you've been doing, championing, the LGBTQ community, um, and really out there educating because you're an educator as well. So we're really excited to have you join us to talk about this. So I'm going to allow you to introduce yourself because you have such a phenomenal background.
Goodness, it's always hard to know where to start. I feel like above all else, I am a tie-dye lover. That's sort of so I am in the tie-dye of the day, my rainbow tie-dye.
That's great.
There is so much tie-dye all around me right now. It just makes my life happy, no matter what's going on outside these walls. My name is Kris. I am 25, almost 26 years into being an LGBT plus educator. So I primarily travel the country teaching and training business leaders, educators, people who attend professional conferences, CEOs, sort of anyone who realizes there's a gap in their knowledge.
Mhm.
Love it, Marissa. Marissa's into tie-dye like me. Um, so tie-dye will distract me every time, I swear it. Um, Anybody that recognizes there's this piece of knowledge I don't have, or there's this population of people I don't know enough about to do something in support of, either in the workplace or in their personal lives, I get to be the one that gets to come in and help fill that knowledge gap.
That's great. That's great. No, I love that because right now we're all working remotely, and we know the challenges that are being faced right now in the workplace when it comes to diversity, inclusion, and equity, how people can feel isolated. And then you're going into this remote working situation, and you can feel even more isolated, considering, Zoom calls, we're all on these Zoom calls. And if you're someone who's been isolated and not really have your support system around you, those allies that are out there to actually help you with your career, your journey, with your career path, and just helping you kind of navigate just what's happening in the workplace and how do you progress um, and move forward, in your career. So one of the things that I wanted to kind of kick off this conversation with is to really talk about why is it so important to have diversity, inclusion, and equity conversations, programs within the workplace? Why are they so important?
Sure. So a lot of what's been happening kind of in the past 5 years or so is that there are some businesses that are realizing this is now sort of the trendy topic of sorts.
Yep.
We're seeing more conversations happening in the media. We're seeing more characters, not nearly enough, but we're seeing characters on television. We're seeing musicians talk about these sorts of themes. And so now there's this awareness of we have to either be part of this or our competitors are and we'll get left behind.
Yeah.
But what's happening too often, unfortunately, is that there's this thought of we need to bring in people who check a box in our diversity. So we have seen this in the past with women of color, and we've seen this in the past with women in general, or as well as sometimes people with different disabilities. So maybe it's people in wheelchairs, people who are hard of hearing or deaf. And it becomes this idea of we need one of you to fit our quota, whoever the you category of the moment is, right? And so we're sometimes seeing where there's one job offer where it's we want to hit a quota, we'll bring you in, and then once that person's in the job, well, now the box is checked off and now we all go back to business as usual, which doesn't solve us any problems. And it lets companies say on their paperwork or on their marketing, 20% of our workforce is diverse.
Yeah.
But it doesn't really mean anything when you're the person who's checking that box, because if there's nothing in the workplace that supports what you're doing, if there's nothing there to help with your growth, if nobody knows what your needs might be, it's a terrible experience to be the first person of a category or one of, two. And it doesn't make a person stay. So businesses not only have to learn how do we market the jobs and get these people in the roles, but also how do we make them want to stay? How do we help them to flourish in the roles? How do we connect them within our system so that we create these lifelong employees who get promoted and who love our brand and what we're doing, rather than people that come in and sort of look around and feel very odd and then kind of quietly sort of tiptoe into the background to get out the door.
Absolutely. You're so right around that. It's interesting because we've seen this time and time again. I know that just from my personal experience, I have been the only one within a department or within a company. And that type of feeling, ultimately makes you feel like, you're responsible for the entire race, and that you have to bear the burden of anything that happens externally or internally within an organization. So for me, it's just wanting to make sure that we tell our viewers, how do we go from, you have these types of cultures that are, just like you said, checking boxes, and really making sure that, you're being responsible. There's some understanding that's happening, that there's true mentorship and also true allyship that's available for anyone who feels that they're being marginalized. And how do you make these practices the norm? How do you make them the norm?
I think some of it really just comes from encouraging each individual to speak up, and that, I think we see a lot in television and movies that the transphobia or the homophobia or the racism or the sexism or any of those are these horrible things. It's always portrayed as, some old white guy who says horrific stuff.
Yeah.
And do those people exist? Yes. But most of the stuff that exists that makes a person really struggle to be the only of a category isn't that kind of character. It's the moments where, it is a lot of times people who mean well. It's the moments where, somebody says to the only Black woman, you're having a good hair day. And they don't think anything of it, because they don't know that the concept of good hair actually means something to Black women that has a whole history behind it. There's a whole story and that's sometimes one of those, if you don't know, you don't know, that you don't know, right? Yeah. And so it's the recognition that sometimes the things as allies in the workplace that we have to be mindful of is catching ourselves and always working on learning,
Mm-hmm.
and also catching other people, because it shouldn't always be that minority person's job to be
Mm-hmm.
the educator. Maybe they want to be. You know,
Yeah.
I will tell you, I happen to be a straight person who identifies as female and was born assigned female at birth. I don't fit into the LGBT plus category. I was not cool enough to be born under the rainbow umbrella.
Yeah.
But, you know, but I take on the role because I chose it. And there's privilege in that I get to choose it.
Yep.
Because it's, you know, it's the shirt that I put on. It's not the skin that I wear.
Yeah.
And so I get to be the person that steps over and says, hey, you know, you can't ask a transgender person what their real name is. That's, you know, like, I get that you're curious. That's
Yeah.
not okay. And let me explain to you why that's not okay, so that that person doesn't have to be the one to consistently educate somebody. And yet
Absolutely.
those people can still be held accountable. And, you know, it's really important not to define people by their distinctions. I'm seeing it coming up in the comments, and everybody's totally right about it. But it's also really important to recognize, you know, I think it was about the 90s, we had this idea of like the best proactive way to be was to say, as a white person, like, oh, I'm colorblind, I don't see color.
Oh,
And
the
we thought
worst.
that was right, but like we thought, we as in, you know, the white people side of things, we thought that was great, because it was like, no, I see you as one of us and we're all the same, and like, yay, I'm doing it right. And on this side of the fence, we were all celebrating and high-fiving each other because, you know, that's the thing you say now, and look at me, I'm doing it right.
Yeah.
And now even the whitest of white people, I think, have learned that on the other side of the fence, all the people of color were not feeling like that was accepting
Mm-hmm.
at all. We all meant well. We were just totally off base and didn't know it. And so the more that we're each researching and looking into those gaps, and the more that I love when people email me or call me up or bring me out because they're aware there's a knowledge gap.
Mm-hmm.
Because the more you know what you know, then I can fill that in, and then you don't make the accidental mistakes that are just human when you don't know about something.
Absolutely. We all have
And there's any
unconscious
category.
biases that we bring to the table. And I think it's important that no more is it the excuse where it's like, I didn't know. Okay, you didn't know once, but it's so important that we all educate ourselves to make sure that there is an understanding where you can actually go into a work environment, even in life in general, and have an understanding of others and how they're living, what their, um, kind of their pressure points, where it's just like, you don't want to make people feel like they're inferior or less than, just like the hair thing, it's just like, you're having a good hair day. By the way, mine curls are great today, which I'm very happy
I
about.
mean, legit, yes.
But it's just so important to make sure that we're all doing our homework and making sure that we're trying to make the world a better place through understanding. So I want to take a moment, because I know that, I want to make sure that I'm conscious of our time, but tell me about your upcoming book. I was really excited to hear about your book. And I just think it's something that's so needed in the world. And I'm just excited about it. So tell us a little bit about your book.
I mean, absolutely. But also, yes, everything about your curls and every single person that is commenting on there, all the differences between all of us, we are all 100% in agreement that everything about your hair today. I don't see you every day. I can't speak on every day, but today, on this day,
Thank you.
It's like hair product commercial level. Like if you weren't such a nice person, I might hate you a little bit out of envy, kind of a thing. I mean, time management be damned on this. We just need to call out reality here.
Okay, let's talk about your book.
Yeah. So my book is The Educator's Guide to LGBT plus Inclusion. And it's a book that I wrote because I realized a lot of what's happening in our adults is because we're having to teach them to relearn, to unlearn and then relearn about life, because what they were taught in schools was not inclusive. So when you're taught your whole childhood that everything you learn about who's important and who put our country together and who invented everything we use and who should
Yes.
be the leaders of the free world and who should we look up to and emulate, when all of those people are old white men, it's really, really difficult first for anyone who's not white and male to see themselves, and also for the people who are white and male to fully understand the contributions and the potential of everyone else around them. So instead of looking, right, so like instead of just looking at how can I keep going in to fix these problems, it was how can we sort of, if I can plant the seeds, I don't have to do so much trimming of the tree later.
Yeah.
So the book was written really for anybody. It was written initially for educators and to be really useful in schools. And so it speaks directly to everyone from the cafeteria workers and janitorial staff to the superintendent and school board members and anybody who works with K through 12 kids. And then it also covers anybody who works in those roles and identifies as LGBT+, any families that are LGBT+ because their kids or one or more of the parents are. And I'm finding that it's also been really useful just for anybody who works with or loves on this population of kids. So social workers, daycare providers, after-school care, summer camp counselors, babysitters, sort of anybody that works within that population. And it's really meant to be, it's a practical resource guide. I'm not a big believer in let me just talk at you for a while. For those who ever come to my trainings, I'll give you the information, but then I want you to play with it and use it. I don't personally think it's especially useful or as useful if I just stand and describe what the Play-Doh is.
Yeah.
I want to describe it and then tell you what it's used for and then give you the Play-Doh so you can mold it and play with it and make mistakes with it and figure them out and we'll talk through them, kinds of things. So there's some information in it as well as opportunities to practice knowledge and then how to put that knowledge really to work.
Yeah.
And everything from when you realize there's a problem and you need to email your supervisor, there are scripts in there of exactly what you can write.
Yeah.
So you can copy paste them, or you can take them as a template and change them up to whatever your specific needs are, because everybody's really busy. And I think most people want to do good and want to do better. And also want to do well. But, you know, I don't think most people make mistakes on purpose. And most people, when they're aware of it, want to change. They just don't always know how. So the more that we can give to make that as easy to learn the process and to practice the steps, I think it's for the better. So it's now, it's out on pre-order. So the ebook and the audiobook just got added yesterday. So that's, y'all are the first to know that there is an audiobook.
Where can we find it? Where can we find it?
It is on Amazon. There's also links directly to if it's easier for everyone on my website, which is thisiskryss.com.
Can you type that into the comments so we can actually capture that information? That will be great.
Yes, I can do that.
And then while she's doing that, typing those into the comments, I want everyone to like really think about how they can walk away from this conversation and really take it into their work environment and really apply it. You know, it takes courage. It takes so much courage to do what Kris is doing every single day, what I do on a consistent basis, and what we all know that you can do as well, with making sure that, you know, people are aware of our differences, you know, and being accepting of each other's differences and really being able to feel comfortable in your work environment. That is critical. So, go to Kris's website. I think that she has a lot of great information out there. I'm really looking forward to meeting you, hopefully in person in October.
It'll happen.
But if not, you know, we're connected in so many ways right now. So I'm really excited about that. You guys follow her on social media. We've been tagging her in a lot of different posts from the Media Frenzy, different social platforms. But it is so critical that this is The work that you do is amazing. I'm so happy to have someone who's on my side and on our side.
Absolutely.
Who's
same
in the
side.
sweat, you know, the same side in this fight as well. But we're going to continue with this work. We're not going to stop until there's equality across the board for all of us. And we want to thank you guys for joining us and making sure that, you know, everything that's going on, make sure that you're staying home, not going out and about, and that you all are staying safe. So we will see you guys really soon next Thursday with another topic and another guest. So bye, you guys, and thanks so much for joining, and thank you so much, Kris.
Of course. Thank you, everybody. Stay safe.
Bye.